I'm not sure what that means. We're still playing, hold on. The baby coughing. We're still playing with the, you hear the baby coughing? Yeah. The live streaming. I'm trying to see, I'm hearing an echo in my ear. I gotta figure out if that's the mic. Hold on. Because I don't really know. Okay, it says I'm live. There I am, live stream. And I got the intensity, the Blackmagic intensity shuttle to start working. I guess I haven't named this anything. It says the stream is offline. What? That's not right. Let's try it again. I'm not really sure where this is supposedly streaming. It says the stream is offline. Let's try this real quick. Hitting pause. Is it working? Let's see. Are you working? Oh, stream now? Oh, I might be there. Stream now. Live dashboard. Maybe it's working. Oh, it keeps, do I keep using my Surface Pen? Keeps freaking out. I will stop using it. Although you hear the baby. So I might have to go take care of her. But we got Wirecast working. And can switch between the webcam. It's not doing it now. Oh wait, there we go. And the Lumix, this cable right in front of the way. And I have one person watching. Maybe that's me. But I want to take off my headphones so that. Anyway, there was a question, and I'm just again playing with this streaming. We're on the GH4 on a 50mm, well 25mm, which is essentially a 50 at a 1.8, so I could squish the background behind me because that kitchen is so wonderful to look at. And we have the Amaran, whatever the small one is, on top for my highlight, even though it doesn't make me look any less tired. And we have this lovely Logitech webcam that can show you, and it's still super dark, kind of just the basic setup. But I'm running Wirecast on the Sager laptop. I was just kind of checking out the feed with this, what's it called? The Surface Pro, and then we're going to talk about MacBook Pros. And I was also exporting ProRes files to be delivered to Dubhouse. That's what I was waiting for them to all finish, and I just figured I'd do a little video while we're doing it. Go back to my beauty shot. All right, so the question was raised, especially with all the new MacBook Pro excitement going on. You know, what's with the new MacBook Pro, and what do I think about it, and what do I think about editing, cutting on a laptop in general? And first, I want to tell you, a couple years ago, I would have said that cutting on a laptop was not a good idea. I didn't really enjoy cutting on a laptop. They're usually underpowered. You run into, where do I put hard drives if you actually use it as a laptop? Monitors were an issue, trying to have enough screen real estate to edit fast, to be able to really utilize the tools that you need to. I think that's about it. So I wasn't really that excited about, and then also, sometimes you run into the problem of having a laptop. You have people who they want you to edit on site, where it's, depending on who you are, sometimes it's better just to use your tools in your workspace to work well, and I usually like doing that. But this has changed a little bit for me in the last year for a couple reasons. First off, just the family situation I still have a bunch of little kids, and they're all going 6 directions at once with different schools and things like that. And so I also had the projects that we were doing just like double in the last year. So we had a lot of stuff happening that I needed to be able to either work on site in between projects or with a client, or just take it home at night and have a powerful machine at home. So what it used to be, I used to have a workstation at the office, my big powerful workstation at the office, and then I would bring anything I had to bring home, I would work off of the MacBook Pro, of the laptop. And it just got to be too slow when I was doing a lot of heavy After Effects. Just basic cutting, you can get away with pretty much anything. You can drop down the resolution, you can make proxies nowadays. I mean, you could be 4:2, it's a little bit different process. And there are ways to work around just basic cuts with a slower machine. But once you started either rendering out final masters, or you had to, you were doing a ton of After Effects I was doing some pseudo 3D. It was still 3D, but it wasn't like Cinema 4D stuff. It was more like OpenGL, Video Copilot kind of rendering stuff. But it still took a lot of time if you turn on all the quality settings, so you have a really good image. It does take a while. So, but anyway, the newest announcement from Apple really just kind of has solidified my whole jump last year or a year and a half ago from from Mac OS to Windows 10. Because I was I'm going to just switch just for fun because I was a pretty hardcore Apple fanboy for a long time. I still kind of am when it comes to like the phones and stuff. Each year that has gone by, I've gotten more and more frustrated with what Apple's been doing and how they've kind of been leaving the pro users behind in almost every form factor that they're making. The iPad Pro is kind of cool, but I'm much happier with like the Surface Pros and stuff because you can actually do real work on them. I know that some people love their iPads, but you can, I've always been able to just kind of like, not explain away, but justify Apple's cost with their performance, because the hardware was always in such harmony with the software, like they always say. And this is a really beautiful piece of technology right here. This is the MacBook. This is the early 2012 MacBook Pro, and it's been, besides having the graphics card start to die on me, so I can't use the Retina display anymore. It's just stuck in regular mode. Anyway, it's been a pretty solid machine, and I still use it. What did I say it was? I was looking to see what it was. It was where's my mid 2012. Okay, so back to what my whole thing here is. Put this back down on the floor. So I made the switch from Mac to Windows last year because you just couldn't get this. I was waiting forever for the Mac Pro to come out, to update, to see what they were going to do. I was working off an iMac, i7 iMac. I think it was a 3.2, 3 point something iMac, and it was a pretty good machine. It started doing weird stuff, and kind of like cleaning your room, you just shove it in the closet. Instead of totally revamping that machine again, I just figured, you know what, now's the perfect time to test jumping into Windows, because I was running off the iMac and I was running off the MacBook Pro, and I was editing all kinds of native 4K R3D files. That's what I was working on, and a ton of After Effects. And I just need something with a little more oomph to it, a little more power, because the machine I was looking at was like the 12-core, 6-core, whatever Mac Pro, and I'm so bad with remembering some of these specs, you guys, I'm sorry, that I just decided, you know what, let's look around. So what we ended up doing was getting one of the gaming laptops. I think I talked about this in a previous video. It's a Sager, which is just a Sager whitelists or white labels some of these really powerful gaming laptops. I don't remember who actually makes this one, but ended up getting a 4 gigahertz i7. I think it's a dual 4-core or 4 dual core, something like that. Anyway, it's got 8 cores supposedly that it can be multi-threading things with. But you know, a lot of the NLE software is still a single-threaded kind of processor when it comes to just your day-to-day using it. When it comes down to rendering it, if they can take advantage of that multi-core stuff, great. But mostly the just kind of the workflow of the day-to-day working, you're relying heavily on the single-core stuff, because it's just using that program. And that's kind of what Premiere sits. So a fast CPU, a decent graphics card. I think I got the 960. I'm looking here real quick while I'm talking. Where'd it go? NVIDIA GeForce, that's right, the GTX 970M. Oh, and also this particular processor in this laptop is a full-on desktop processor, so there's no shrinking down, there's no compromises on the processor. Having said that, this laptop does have a pretty sad battery life. But my whole point was I wanted to have a machine that I could transport that was still a powerful workstation, and it's really not a great laptop. It gets hot, it's heavy, the battery lasts hardly any time at all, but it's just freaking powerful, and I can put 64 gigs of RAM in it, and I love it. Okay, jumping back to, where's my MacBook stuff? Okay, so the new MacBook Pro, because my current MacBook Pro, which is a 2.7 gigahertz i7, again, it's a workhorse, 16 gigabytes of RAM. The things I don't like about it is it is what it is. I can't get in there and do any kind of upgrades whatsoever. So if I want to get more RAM in there, I can't. Having said that, 16 is not too bad for a laptop like this. This has got the NVIDIA GeForce 650, or it's got the integrated Intel graphics at 4000, I guess is what it is. So this machine actually doesn't do too bad, especially when you start looking at the specs from the new machines. And I know the processors are a little bit newer and stuff, but still, for what you paid for that machine in 2012, you're paying so much more for these new machines, and you're not getting nearly as much performance out of it. Not to mention, obviously, everyone keeps talking about all the ports. You know, I've got USB, HDMI, which is really great to have. The card slot, which is what everybody, you know, in their dog uses when they're talking about YouTube videos. The MagSafe, which is amazing with kids running around. Headphone jack, obviously, and Thunderbolt. So connectivity is still there on these machines, and I still use the MacBook Pro and the iMac occasionally to render out ProRes. And I still have not found a really good ProRes solution for the Windows side of things, because that's what all the dub houses want when we're delivering commercials. They want ProRes or some kind of old school flavor of the month, which is never as good. So I'm always having to jump back over to do ProRes to deliver these files. So I'm just going to jump to the Y just for fun. All right, so the new MacBook Pros, I think they're underpowered and they're overpriced. And then they have this gimmick of the stupid touch bar. I'm sorry, guys. Anytime you have to lift your fingers off of the keyboard or the mouse to do something while you're editing, you're wasting time. The quickest, the best editors are the guys who don't have to move their hands very much, and even avoiding the mouse. I mean, this is my cousin. He's an avid certified guy. He cuts. He's worked at Disney and Paramount, and I can't think where he is now. Anyway, a bunch of these places. He's been an editor for a long time, and his thing is you got to keep your hands on the keyboard. The less mouse, the better. If you can do all this stuff with the keyboard, then you're really going to be cruising, and I agree. As I find that as I move my hands around, if you can work these macros in, stay on the keyboard, you're going to move a lot faster. And Avid understands that. Avid's really built to be used with hotkeys. So having this, you think maybe this touch bar is a positive thing in that. Well, no, you got to like look down at the keyboard instead of looking up at your displays or whatever you're doing and go back and forth. And I can scrub a timeline, I can scrub whatever with my keys, I can do it with the mouse so fast. So I'm a little bit disappointed in the gimmick touch bar thing. I don't understand it. I don't know why Apple's not doing anything with the touchscreen. I love the Surface Pro, the way it works with, everything is all right there. I got to play with the Surface Pro Studio the other day. A little underpowered for what they kind of tout it being, but it is a freaking awesome looking machine. It really kind of outmaxed the iMac, outmaxed the Mac. I'm clicking stuff here, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Let me close these windows so I can actually see. Oh no, am I offline? No. So, coming back to the whole concept of cutting on a laptop, I'm sold on a laptop now just for the reason that it's portable. I can take it from the house to home so I can work on stuff, because I've been finding myself, I've been working at my home office a lot more than I was last year. So I'll come out, get the kids to school, or work out, whatever. I'll just pop out to my home office, which is in the garage basically, get as much work done as I can, and then I have things throughout the day that I'm doing with the family. And then when we do go to the office, then it's easy just to take your machine with you, and then also go into like a client. I don't always love doing that, but when the call needs to happen, you can have your fast machine with you. Coming back to the Mac Pros, so one thing I want to say, is that they've really, and this is, you can't blame Apple for this, but they've really heavily optimized the Mac Pros to work with Final Cut X. And I'm sorry, there's certain levels. There's only a certain level of seriousness I can take you on a professional level if you're going to be using Final Cut X as your pro editing tool. I have projects I get from other houses that then I need to do changes for and then deliver to XYZ for a commercial, and that's the only time I end up having to use Final Cut, and it just drives me nuts. There's so many things wrong with it still when it comes to professional workflow environment. Having said that, it's perfect for like those encapsulated YouTube and or smaller kind of corporate video experiences where it's like, you know what, I'm gonna do my cut, my color, and my sound all in this one little package, some basic motion graphics, which they have some decent plugins for. That is great for $300, $350, whatever it is. You can't go wrong with that, especially when you talk about your other options, which, you could say, DaVinci Resolve is a great solution for for being free. The problem is the learning curve is a little bit harder to understand when it comes, if you have never used something before. Also, the motion graphics are much harder to understand. So, but coming back to that, I am downloading the latest version of Final Cut to see what changes they've had. And come on, guys, one of their latest feature that they're touting is timecode window burn. I mean, that's something that's been a professional tool for years. You make a timecode window burn, you send it off to the client so they can go and make their notes on exactly what timecode things are going to be. And I think it's just funny that they're making that a big deal about that. So one of the biggest things that Final Cut doesn't have is a really simple replace footage or replace file, kind of like that you would do if anybody's After Effects users. They don't understand this is a daily occurrence for After Effects, and also with Premiere, especially if you're doing commercial work or something like that, where you're getting a lot of feedback from clients, or you're doing tons of versions of things. When we do a commercial, we'll do XYZ version for this network, XYZ version for this network, and then XYZ version for this network, and then a super list, so there's no graphics at all on it, but you also have the same this and this and this. So instead of having to go through and manually insert each clip into the right space, you can just swap. You can duplicate comps, you can duplicate timelines, you can just swap those files in and out, which I've not found a solution in Final Cut for that. I've been trying to play with the Audition stack and things like that. It never works the same way. So that's one thing that's I'm a little bit surprised they've not ever worked on. And I don't know if that's because either I'm doing it totally wrong, or the feature request has never been there because the audience using it isn't on that professional level where it needs to sell certain kind of feature sets. I know there are some people who are hardcore Final Cut X users, and if you are, that's great. I just think if you're looking to switch, thinking about switching, if you're a hardcore Apple fan, Final Cut is optimized hardcore for the iMacs and the MacBook Pros. So if you're already just have to live in an ecosystem, that's probably the best way to go if you're looking for performance. If you're doing anything else, I would stick with getting, Windows 10. I have had hardly an issue going back and forth, feeling like coming from a hardcore Apple fanboy moving over to Windows 10. I haven't felt any kind of remorse that I've moved over, because the performance is there. It does feel like home. I'm trying to see if my stream is still going here. I was going to say if there's any questions, but I don't think anybody's watching because it's also super late and stuff, and I only have a few. My subscriber base isn't huge, so it's not very. Oh my goodness, my internet's being super slow. It's probably because I'm uploading at the same time. Come on. My channel. Come on. Oh, maybe the computer's frozen. Maybe I broke my Surface. After all that, I broke the Surface. Or not. Come on. I do need a new Surface. This one's a little bit slow. Surface Pro 3, it's like a 1.7. It's an i7 though, which is pretty cool. Let's check it over here. This is also just kind of a test for the streaming capability, so we can test it on the MacBook Pro. Let's see. YouTube's. Ooh, was that live right then? Live streaming. We're 20 minutes? Man, I need to shut up. For all three of you guys watching. Yeah, good job. Okay. Oh, okay, look, I finally see the chat. It says the audio sync's way out of sync. I apologize. I'm not sure why that's the case. Hello? Yeah, well, I'm still kind of new to the streaming. I wonder if that slowed down after I actually hit stream, or if there's some if I need to delay the video to keep the audio synced. Because this is the first time I've gone audio and video through the Blackmagic, not just like through the iPhone or something where it's all kind of stays the same. Let's see. The cool thing is I can now take this, plug it into the Ursa or the Red, and do some live lighting. I'm out of focus. It's embarrassing. Yeah, I think I need to play with Wirecast and see if there's anything I need to manipulate to make the, oh, I did something to the rotation. I can do like a 3D circle in here. Ta-da. Yeah, because I guess I could, look, where's my headphones? I'm gonna check from this machine. See how bad it is. There's too many machines. Oh yeah, that's like 10 seconds off. Gonna be checking the message boards. Okay, it's not 10, it's more like 2 seconds.